Season 3 of the I Formation. I'm Jeff Gibbons.
And I'm John Moist.
And back at it again. It hardly seems like a dream, doesn't it? Just a short period of time ago, we were watching the Super Bowl and thinking we got a big...
the Super Bowl was a dream for me, all right.
Well, actually, it was more like a nightmare. Yeah, actually, I just want to get a look at this product shot here. The only one who was wearing it by the day. I had the Super Bowl party this year, and it was complete with my Seahawks hat, and it was complete with an $8 bowl of Skittles.
Complete on the bandwagon.
Yeah, hey, listen, I just knew what was going to happen. It was as simple as that, and I said that at the beginning, and who was right, baby? That's all that matters.
Different story this year.
Okay, yeah, I'm hoping it is going to be a different story. As a matter of fact, I don't think the Seahawks are going to repeat. But we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Today, we're just going to have our introductory show, talk to who we think is going to be champion this year and who's going to make the playoffs. We've got there's a lot of things we agree on, but I think there's some...
We'll talk about our division winners and who we think are going to be surprise teams this year and who we think are going to step back.
Yeah. And, hey, not like getting started. If we want to jump right in, well, you want to do it by division or what?
Do it by division? Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Right,
all right,
go right ahead.
Awesome. Oh. Okay.
Flag! Did you just incidental contact there, buddy?
Seriously?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Have we really got to move this couch 5 yards?
That's it.
It could be worse, man. It could be worse. We could be moving the couch right up to the goal line. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, man. I'm really sorry. Yeah, didn't want to impede your process. Right.
That's true.
Okay. Let's start with the AFC East. It's with much pain that we both agree on the winner here. But I don't think we're both convinced the same way on this story. We're picking the New England Patriots to win the AFC East. And again, like we've said many years, one of the best of the worst kind of thing. This division has been in obscurity from a championship perspective now for some time. And it's just 4 teams.
Actually, no one in this division has won since Spygate.
No one's been good enough to win
Just saying.
since Spygate. No, you're right. You're right. That is it. That's it. It takes a real Manning to beat that team, right? I know.
Yeah.
And it's happened twice. You know what? Bill Belichick is touting this team as going back to defensive basics. We're in the twilight now of Tom Brady's career. They're looking at less than similar, I think, replacements on the horizon right now. I mean, there is some possibilities, but they're looking at him, and he's touting this team as being very, very strong defensively. And we, like I said before, defense wins championships, where offense wins games, and we talked about that this year. But all is not right, I think, in the Patriots camp, and this is something that I've been bouncing off you now for the last couple of days. Logan Mankins gets traded, 6-time Pro Bowler, defensive player. He's traded to the Buccaneers for a tight end, Timothy Wright. When everyone is saying how Gronkowski is poised to come back, he's 100%, and that he's going to be there week 1 against the Dolphins, and he's going to play well. To me, I don't think all is right with Gronk in Canberra lot. I think that there's a problem. But don't take my word for it. I see a bunch of receivers here, and I think that aren't ready. They're not where they need to be, and I don't think defensively they're where they need to be able to win championships. So if they can win 11 games this year, they will win the AFC East, but there are some X factors. Anything further on that you'd like to add?
I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
With regards to the Mankin situation, I think that it happened not long before they're supposed to come up with their finalized rosters. I think that Belichick maybe saw that Mankins was not on the top of his game. Was probably every year he's gone a little bit downhill. I'm not sure he should have been a Pro Bowl guard last year. So I think that he saw an opportunity to get a guy in Tim Wright, who's a good tight end. I think that Belichick wants to get back to the 2 tight end set that he had going with Hernandez and Gronkowski, and I think you're going to see a lot of that in New England this year with Wright. And I think they wanted to unload Mankins. I think that maybe Tampa Bay came along here and made an impulsive buy. And I think Mankins is probably better than what Tampa Bay had on the offensive line. to begin with, so they have improved in that area. But I don't think Tampa Bay won this.
Okay. You know we're going to both spew about that AFC. We do it every year. But
Yeah.
well, let's see. Week 1 sets the tone. They play the Dolphins in Miami. It's a big game for the Patriots. Let's see how it happens. Next we got the
Not an easy one.
No easy ones. There are no easy ones any given Sunday. AFC West. Your Denver Broncos. And what are you thinking?
I think the Broncos will win the West. I think that the Chargers will be strong. I see the Chiefs making a bit of a step back this year with the loss of Brandon Albert for sure to gone to Miami now. And a little bit thin at wide receiver as well. They have Jamal Charles, of course. But Jamal Charles' yardage was a lot due to Brandon Albert's blocking ability and coming in behind him. I think Charles is going to have a big year, because he always does. But I think KC takes a step back because a little weaker on the offensive line. And I think San Diego hangs around. They get a ball hawking defense, going to be a lot of turnovers there. And I think they finish second to Denver and push for a playoff spot as well.
Push maybe, but then again, I don't know if I buy into the whole San Diego thing. I think they're at best they're a 500 team,
Okay.
and I think everything's got to fall their way in order for them to get into the playoffs. But yeah, I agree with you, Broncos. Things to think about: Wes Welker, his health this year. I mean, we've seen how Manning's gone to bat for him already this year. He's going through concussion protocols as we speak right now, but things look encouraging. The loss of Eric Decker as well is a big piece of that offense. But I mean, still.
Sanders came in to replace him.
Yeah, so, but it's like anything else. I mean, there's growing pains with every offense. I mean, remember when Manning first went to Denver and having all those offensive weapons that he had in Demaryius Thomas, and having to jump into that offense and do it right away. He did an admirable job, but it was the second year when everything really started to gel. So
I want to make another mention too, is because Sanders during the preseason, when he caught that diving touchdown pass from Manning, he got up and he did this crap. I'm not going to be happy with my Broncos if they keep this mile-high salute crap going on this year. It's hot dogs. Give it up. Next.
Yeah. AFC North. And I think we agree here too. We're both going against the experts.
Yeah.
And we're picking the
Baltimore
Ravens. I think that the Ravens have what it takes to win. They have it perennially, even with the changes of personnel they've gone through.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco, arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, especially playoff time. He's won more playoff games in the last how many years? I can't remember now.
Over the last 10?
Yeah, something like that, than any other quarterback. And just gets the job done.
Yeah.
And then you've got the other things going on, the other distractions like Cleveland. You've got Hoyer and Manziel, this whole idea of who's going to start there.
I don't think either one of them is that great, to tell you the truth. I don't think Manziel is ready. Maybe someday he'll be a good quarterback. Hoyer, he's not up to the talent of Dalton, Roethlisberger, or Flacco.
He did a good job stepping in last year, I think, for the time that he did play.
Yeah.
But again, journeyman in that division, and that is a competitive division. No doubt it'll be won and lost in the inter-division games. And also, the league upholding the year-long suspension of Josh Gordon today makes a huge difference to that
Josh
team.
Gordon led the NFL in receiving yardage last year. And I think what Cleveland does have going for them is a good defense, especially pass defense, one of the best in the NFL. And they can hang around because of that. They just don't have enough offense there, Jeff. I don't think I don't think they're going to be able to.
Pittsburgh's an X factor in that division as well. I mean,
always.
Team has the potential, if they stay healthy, unlike last year, to be there at the end and possibly even win the division or take a playoff spot. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be Baltimore.
Well, you got to keep their running backs from smoking weed and driving too. That might be a good idea, considering both of their running backs are picked up for possession of marijuana, which to myself and Jeff is really not a big deal. But one of them was driving. Bell was driving at the time, so they're looking at suspensions from the team, maybe from the league as well. I'm not sure.
There's lots of that going on.
Yeah.
And let's close out with the South. AFC South, and this is where I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb this year. I think we're both agreeing on the division winner. And we see the Indianapolis Colts
I don't
winning
see
this
that the
division.
other way.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a couple of other teams in the Tennessee Titans and Houston who could make noise. I think that, especially Houston, I think now with Jadeveon Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney?
Yes.
I can never say that. It's like spaghetti.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. But, you know, with J.J. Watt, defensively strong.
Their pass rush is very strong.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it, especially they have Cushing there as well. So
Yes,
yeah.
Brian Cushing.
Yeah.
And there's so much then now being healthy that that kind of a game can elevate you to the point, in some cases, like the 2005 Bears, can get you almost to greatness.
Yeah.
The big question mark now is going to be who's going to be standing in that pocket.
And we're talking about Indianapolis having the softest schedule of any other NFL team this year. I don't think any team has a softer schedule than the Colts.
And it's because of that and the gelling of Andrew Luck, the fact that they are the healthiest they've been in several years, with the return of Reggie Wayne, and the addition of Hakeem Nicks, which is huge for that team.
Jeff's been talking about Nicks being there a lot.
I'm so excited to see how that's going to play out. I think Nicks is the kind of guy that can get open on a broken play, and Luck's the fella that can get out of that pocket and make it happen.
Their receiving core is stellar. It might be the best receiving core in the NFL. You got to look at the Packers there too, but and of course the Broncos. But the Colts now they got Reggie Wayne, they got T.Y. Hilton, and now picking up Hakeem Nicks, and of course the tight end. Give me a hand here. Oh, it's Laner.
And hang us up to dry.
Okay.
All right, man.
But anyway, great tight end there too. If I can remember his name sometime.
Yeah, that's right.
And
he mustn't have meant much to you.
yeah.
Look for Trent Richardson to pick up the pieces this year as a side of all of the good work they're going to do with that passing core. Richardson has a better year on the ground. So all around, I'm picking the Indianapolis Colts to be the top seed in the AFC. Okay, I'm picking the Colts to be #1 seed in the AFC and to have the best record in the NFL this year at 13-3. That's my call this year.
13-3, I like it. I like the call. I believe that was my call as well when I looked at their schedule. 13-3, and certainly getting a first round bye. 12-4, 13-3, around there. First round bye.
So now all that remains is the wild cards. John, tell me what you think.
For the wild cards, I would look at the San Diego Chargers making a run on the wild card. And the Cincinnati Bengals are there. Pittsburgh Steelers could get one, and I wouldn't count out the Dolphins either. No.
Okay, so that's 4, and you can only have 2. So if you had to pick 2, that we're going to say.
If I had to pick 2, I would. If I had to pick 2, I'd go with San Diego and Cincinnati.
And you'd be totally wrong, because I think Pittsburgh is going to stay healthy. Pittsburgh gets one of those 2 spots. AFC North is notorious for that double hit every year. Like Baltimore, Pittsburgh have been there many years. I'm going out on a limb, and I'm picking the Houston Texans to get the second playoff wild card. And my X factor is the Miami Dolphins. I like that call. Defensively, the backbone of that defense with Olivier Vernon, Cameron Wake, Donnell Ellerbe, solid performers, can make things happen. Turnovers will be part of that. And of course, we saw some glimmers of former self of Noshan Moreno now that he's getting a little bit of that baby fat off him, and he's getting back into shape after the knee surgery. If he performs, and like Philbin said, they get faster on offense, there's an opportunity there for them to even potentially win that division. We'll see, but I'm holding on. Let's see how week 1 goes. So that's the AFC. So let's hit the NFC, and of course, starting logically with the East. I'm seeing this, and I think we're a little bit different on this one, John. I think I'm seeing this as a log jam with one of the logs floating away, being the Dallas Cowboys, because I don't even think they're in the log jam. I think they're sort of trailing behind like a matchstick.
Their defense is really suspect this year. They lost to Marcus Ware, one of the best pass rushers in the game, gone to Broncos now.
Yep.
And they lost the captain of their defense, in Sean Lee, and he's their signal caller, so he's probably the best player on their defense.
Not to mention Devontae Holloman just had to retire because of a neck injury. He's done.
Okay.
Done.
Dallas is hurting on defense this year, for sure.
Yeah, the Cowboys suck. That's pretty much the commentary that we want to put out there for the NFC East. There are 3 other teams in play. two teams I think that are going to be there weighing out for it at the end. I think Philadelphia is going to win this division if they stay healthy. Chip Kelly's going to done a lot with that team. Nick Foles throwing the ball.
The best offensive line in the game.
And LaShawn McCoy.
What else do you need? And I believe they picked up Darren Sproles as well. So it's another dimension there in the backfield that's going to make some noise. So
now I think
that's even better for McCoy when you think about it. So
I think about Eli Manning and the Giants, and then I just move right on to the Washington Redskins.
I think the Giants might surprise the year.
The only way that the Giants are going to surprise me this year is if Eli Manning stops throwing interceptions.
They get decent defense, decent front seven.
Yeah, that's fine. Pierre-Paul's got to have a big year for him, but I think that at the end of the day, something is not right. That is the offensive drive of the New York Giants. It was suspect last year. Manning made a lot of poor decisions. He didn't look like the fellow that beat Brady in the Super Bowl twice. And something is not right.
Oh,
and I still think
the Giants will go as Manning goes. That's the way it's going to go.
Well, if that's the case, then it's, to quote Archie Bunker. All right. So that leaves us with one other team that can rival. And the X factor that I have this year in the NFC East, the Washington Redskins.
And I disagree.
And I know you don't, there's no love here at all for RG3, but I think two things, or a couple of things have to happen. Defensively, yes, they have to play well.
No love lost for RG3, you mean?
Oh, yeah.
I like RG3. I don't like their defense. It sucks.
We'll see. Okay.
It's a bunch of, their defense can't stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're taunting now.
Taunting.
Yes. That glanced my. That's a major foul. All right, man. Anyway, I think that given the right set of circumstances, RG3 plays well. Big games out of Roy Halo Jr. and Alfred Morris on the ground. They have a chance to be in that logjam that is the NFC East, and we've seen that happen.
I got no problems with Washington's offense. Their defense sucks. They're going to give up a lot of points this year. They're going to give up a lot of points this year. Washington may be the worst defense in the game next to Dallas this year.
Okay, Dallas.
Dallas does, however, have a wonderful jumbotron.
Absolutely, beautiful stadium. Yeah. Beautiful stadium. It's breathtaking.
Yeah.
All right, keeping up with the Joneses. NFC West. I think it goes without saying who we think is going to win the NFC West. The people that are the incumbents, the Seattle Seahawks. I see Richard Sherman's at it already in camp. The fighting, the bickering, and I think that's what elevates his game. You know, I've always been a Sherman fan. Even I didn't agree what he did with Brady when he called Brady out that time. I remember a couple of seasons ago. As much as I don't like Brady either, but I think that's how he gets where he needs to be. And I think that whole thing that is Richard Sherman, and I think he is arguably one of the best corners in the game.
I think he is the best corner in the game.
Okay, I was being nice, right? Because I didn't know if you were going to agree with me. But I see that Seattle is so rough in practice.
Their secondary is one of the best secondaries I've ever seen since I started watching football. That wasn't yesterday.
No, sir, the day before. They got fined $300,000 for violating the collective bargaining agreements contact rules coming off season. Sherman had a lot to do with that.
They practiced too hard.
Yeah, I know. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Oh well, I think they're in the CFL. Also in that NFC West, some issues with the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, they're a team that are expected to be great this year. They've done a lot. They've made some tweaks. They lost Dante Whitner in the backfield to Cleveland. They brought in Antoine Bethea, who seems to be doing well now on his concussion protocol. He got his bell rung.
We're taking it easy with him, though. He may miss a game or two.
Okay, well, yeah, I would take it easy with Bethea as well. Allen Smith looking like at a 6 or 8 game suspension for his misconduct.
No, that's our guess, and I think it's an accurate one.
Navarro Bowman on the PUP and missing at least 6 games at the beginning of the season with that wrist.
At least.
A huge set of, or a huge adversity for this defense, which is going to squarely put the responsibility of keeping that team to score points on Colin Kaepernick. So I guess the $126 million question is, is he going to step in and do it? He's staying in the pocket. He's less than 60% completions. There's a lot to be said about him scrambling. Defenses that can play him to come out of the pocket and flush him out will be successful, providing they're plugging the holes. I think that I don't think he's worth $126 million. But then again, I was wrong about, I don't know, Mark Sanchez. I was wrong about, the list goes on. I think that he's going to have to put up or shut up, and I don't think he's got what it takes. He haven't got the jam to put these guys where they need to be. It's going to be a scary time for them in San Francisco this year.
I'm not so sure. I think that
I know you're not so sure. I know.
I think that San Francisco their defense wasn't made up of just a couple of players. They had this outstanding defense last year, one of the best in the NFL. And I think that they're going to pull together, and I think they can get through this. I think they will still challenge Seattle for the division this year.
See, yeah, it's fine to say that about that, but I mean, these were just a couple of players. I mean, let's face it. You took out Navarro Bowman. You took out Antoine Bethea. Well, he's only out short term. You took out Alden Smith. I mean, these are meat and potatoes guys in that defense that really put them on the map.
Big part of
yeah, so let's see how they do without them. I mean, we saw what happened to teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers last year when they encountered some injuries, when Roethlisberger got hurt, et al. And we saw what happened. They fell off, and they were just far enough away they couldn't get back to the surface, right? Mm-hmm. So let's see what happens this year with the 49ers. I think, Kaepernick's got his work cut out for him. NFC North, and we both agree here.
NFC North, we're going with the Packers.
We are going with the Packers to win probably 12 games. Balanced attack. Aaron Rodgers, to me, the best quarterback in the NFL.
And don't forget Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, who may just lead the NFC in receptions this year. I wouldn't be surprised. He's going to be a great player this year. And Jordy Nelson, always good for 15 touchdowns, I'd say, for Jordy Nelson this year or more. And then you got your Michael Finley, a tight end as well. These guys got a great. And don't count out Eddie Lacy to have a big game, a big season on the ground as well. I think that Lacy is going to be top 5. I'm going to call Eddie Lacy be top 5 running back, one of the top 5 running backs in the NFL this year. I think that's a gutsy call too.
If you listen real closely, you'll hear my eyelids blink. Mm-hmm. Okay, that is a gutsy call. Mm-hmm. And it'd be really awesome if we can come back and you can throw it at my face. But you can see the look of worry on my face now.
I'm not worried.
I'm not worried either. Okay. Other things that are distracting in the NFC North, the whole Minnesota struggle for greatness there, Matt Castle versus Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, man, Minnesota has some great players.
Good. Kyle Rudolph, arguably one of the better tight ends in the NFC.
Cordell Patterson, one of the fastest receivers in the game, and Jennings on the other side. They got a great duo there.
And that's just silly, Adrian Peterson.
Adrian
Peterson, who's going to break Eric Dickinson's record.
Yeah. But what's going to kill Minnesota is the front 7 on defense. So they got Chad Greenway, and he's perennially good for probably 150 tackles.
And they don't have Jared Allen.
That's right, Jared Allen. Their pass rush is going to suffer this year because of that. Mm-hmm. So on defense, Minnesota aren't all that they could be. So
that's what's going to lose games in that division too. When you think about Detroit, you think about the Bears. These games in the 3rd and 4th quarters, that's when you lose them.
There you go. There you go. I agree.
All right, NFC South.
New Orleans Saints.
Who that? New Orleans Saints back to greatness.
Panthers might take a step back this year because they're really thin at wide receiver now.
100%, sir. Yeah. I think that their number was a little inflated last year. They went on that 8-game winning streak, but a lot of those games were close.
I'll tell you, I called the Panthers to be my surprise team last year, and I hit the nail on the head there, I believe.
And I'm still baking that biggie. You're right, though. You did. You called it. You did. That was awesome.
I also called Luke Kuechly to be Defensive Player of the Year, and he was.
Luke Kuechly. Let's see how Luke Kuechly does this year. Luke Kuechly will live and die by the flag. When I saw the things that happened last year, and he got away with, and he was Defensive Player of the Year, and he did. He got away with a lot of calls. They picked flags up on Luke Kuechly. Sure. I don't know who he knows or whatever else the rest of that thing goes. But good solid defensive player.
Talking about, we were talking about receivers, and we never even mentioned our buddy Alshon Jeffrey. who we think is going to have a great season for the Bears this year.
It's a little fantasy tip for all of you guys now that I've blown that 2 or 3 days before our draft. I think Alshon Jeffrey is a sleeper this year. You think about, well, he's got that other young kid out there, was it Marshall?
Oh yeah, Brandon Marshall.
Yeah, so I mean...
I heard of him.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in Miami for like 30 seconds, I remember. Yeah, anyway, but we'll see. Newton, I don't think is 100% in Carolina anyway. I still think he's lame.
I agree. I think something's going on there. I think Newton is definitely not 100%, and we're going to see that when the season starts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, inside of 5 yards, man. How many? We need one of these cameras or one of these counters that's going to tell us how many the flag cam.
Yeah.
How many we have. We're trying to stay on par with the number that we saw in the games already. As a matter of fact, it's it's the whole.
There will be an
NFL
record amount of flags this year. It's going to be a little bit of a pain in the ass watching some of these games. But
tell you what, let's do our wild cards and take a minute to talk about what we think of those rules. We've got.
I like it.
Who you got? Who do you like now in the NFC?
I like the Bears to get a wild card for sure. And
the Bears.
My other wild card will be San Francisco.
Well, that's exactly what I picked. Did you read it off my sheet?
No, I did not.
But you'll notice the 3 question marks after the San Francisco 49ers. You heard it here, folks. I think that the 49ers are right on the edge. And I think they're starting with one hand tied behind the back with these defensive players that are going to be missing time. And I think that Colin Kaepernick, if he doesn't have an incredible season, the 49ers may miss the playoffs. And that's going to be a huge disappointment to 49ers fans. And Albert, you know I'm looking down the camera at you first. It could happen, but this is all going to lay on the shoulders of your $126 million quarterback.
Is Albert a fan of Kaepernick?
He's a 49ers fan. I think he thinks that Kaepernick will get the job done. I think, if I remember correctly, some of the comments he's made on our site already that he believes in him. So, you know what, it's like any other player. I mean, you know, you got to give him a chance to grow, man. Right? That's right. Okay, so that's our picks for the divisions and the wild cards. Now, why don't you tell me who you think is going to hit the Super Bowl?
Denver Broncos, New Orleans Saints.
Nice, 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 but wrong. Okay, I think.
Sorry, Paul.
Yeah, he is sorry. You're absolutely right, Paul. 12 man strong and proud, man. I tell you what, Seattle will come back out of the NFC, but they're going to face a team that has a shot at beating them, and I think that will beat them in the Super Bowl, and I think that's going to be the Indianapolis Colts. And I've always made this statement, and I stated it last year before I purchased this hat to wear to make a statement last year. I said that offense wins games, but defense wins championships. And there are very few teams in the AFC that have offenses that are capable of beating NFC defenses. But the Indianapolis Colts is probably the best bet at winning. When we look at last year, they managed to beat the Chiefs, the Seahawks, and the San Francisco 49ers. That's a pretty impressive set of plays. Andrew Luck.
They beat the Broncos, too.
And they beat the Broncos,
yep.
Right? So that's pretty good company. Andrew Luck, with the new offensive weapons this year and the healthy team, I think steps in and in one hell of a Super Bowl just edges out the Seattle Seahawks.
Gutsy call. I like it. Do you think Trent Richardson's going to be good on the ground for them this year?
I think he's going to be better than he was last year, which is not a big stretch, because he stunk it up last year.
Yes, he did, yeah.
So that's our picks for this year. Stick around. We're just going to talk in a minute or so about some of these things that are happening now with the rule changes. And we're back. Just before we get into that last little bit of banter about the rules, it was John's birthday this past week, so we got a chance to celebrate. And I know J.J. Watt is a big fan, but John looked a little bit irritable, so I picked him up some chamomile tea. Right? You'll sleep well tonight.
Yeah, sure.
But this is the kicker, man.
I need the nap.
I looked at everywhere for this, and I found this Justin Bieber fan club sort of deal with all these glossy posters.
I can't believe it.
I don't know what the is all over it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, when
That's
it's
kind of
gone, I
gross and
squealed
sticky.
and I
You take it-
squealed.
I don't want to know what you did when you said it. You squealed again till you passed out.
No,
Anyway.
I had tea before I passed out.
Yeah, I don't even want to know, man. Oh, you can have the beeps. Let's talk turkey about this for a couple of minutes, man. We're talking about this, flicking this flag around, and I think we ended it on something that's near and dear. I mean, last year we had to deal with replacement referees. This year, it's the rule changes, and I think the league has made a stand, and they're saying that in the trade-off for the subjective pass interference call, we're now going to really crack down on defensive holding with a 5-yard penalty as opposed to taking you to the site of infraction. So there's a trade-off, but the only way this works is consistency.
And what I did there in the last segment with Jeff is what you're going to see a lot of, as Jeff was talking to me about the other day. We had a conversation about you will see a lot of this called in the NFL this year.
Reflex action.
You cannot impede the receiver's progress by pulling on his jersey. Used to be able to do that before this year.
Yeah. And corners have gotten really good at doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So now you got to look at the people that lead the league, the Richard Shermans and the Darrell Reeveses and the people that are out on that corner and how they attack that pass. Mm-hmm. But the other side of that too, John, is that there's a lot of good receivers out there that have gotten really good at pushing off.
True.
So if you can...
That's going to be looked at even more this year.
It's got to be.
So got to look at both
you
sides.
can't take another weapon or another tool out of the toolbox of the defensive team and let these wide receivers walk ramshot all the way and go past you. I mean, because you're afraid to make any kind of contact.
And these sorry Jeff, these calls
Sorry.
are much to our chagrin because we both love watching defensive football. We'd rather see a 10-7 game than a 40-37 game. And the NFL, however, see it as most fans wanting to see more and more offense in the game. And this is what we're going to be looking at this year. A lot of pass interference calls, a lot of these 5-yard penalties. It's going to slow the game down a little.
Take the flow away from the game, and that's too bad. I mean, I know it's the kind of situation that they've had real issues with subjectivity and continuity on these calls. I mean, we look back to the playoff game where Seattle actually got in to the Super Bowl in that last play against the 49ers, and wondering if the flag was going to drop if it wasn't. And that goes as far as thinking about Kuechly in that end zone against the Dolphins. I remember that in week 8 or week 9.
Definitely.
And when one referee or lineman is going to make one call and the other one's going to make the other, and we're back to that whole, it becomes a real issue. So if the league is truly trying to make it right, where they've come up with a rule that, you can't go wrong. You touch the jersey, that's the rule. Just like putting the skate in the crease when they did that. But we saw how long that lasted. And it wasn't even really effective because there was a Stanley Cup winning goal scored with a foot in the crease. So that pretty much underlined how the rule still wasn't being used to its top effect. And I'm paralleling hockey and football here, but it's more about the day-to-day work of the football of the game or the sport. I mean, if you're going to take away the flow, you're going to take away the excitement, you're going to take away the fans, you're going to take away the fun. And I think there's always an adjustment period for these kinds of things, but when it comes right down to it, the question they have to ask is it good for the game? Are we going to now have a new set of heroes because the old heroes can't play the game anymore? Like when Ronnie Lott used to dismember people when he hit them, Ronnie Lott couldn't play now.
Mike Singletary used to get in front of the camera and tell people that he actually had vivid dreams when he went to sleep about tearing the limbs from people's bodies. Those days are long gone. But,
well, that's right. That's taunting now, I think.
Yeah.
But you throw a flag.
Yeah. So if the NFL gets their way, then we'll be dealing with a game for wimps. Unfortunately, that's the way it's going. We need to get back to some real old smash mouth football because it's getting worse and worse every year with these flags. Come on.
Well, that's right. Next thing they'll be playing lingerie football in the NFL. And you know what? That's just more than my mind can bear to think about with some of these 300-foot or pound linemen. 300-foot linemen in a G-string. So now, I've left you a vivid image. That's all we have to say for this week.
Yeah. Let's pick a surprise team before we go. Who do you think is going to surprise in the NFL this year? If you were going to pick one team.
I mean, let's pick a surprise question.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's a surprise question.
Surprise. Well, I think, it's an easy one for me. I'm going to pick my Miami Dolphins. And only because people are being cautiously optimistic about them. But they're saying, putting them in the power rankings down around 22, 23, 24. Only because the O-line hasn't had time to go together. They've lost some big players in Taylor and Incognito. All of these things, who, by the way, is probably going to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer by the end of the week. But, when you take those people away, they're signal callers, and you've got to try to rebuild. Anything is going to be better next year. But I'm going to make the call this year. Glad you reminded me of this. Ryan Tannehill was sacked, I believe, 46 times last year, which was the NFL leader. I'm making a call this year that Tannehill gets sacked 25 times or less this year with that new O-line. And that is going to be the difference.
They'll have to gel quickly. I hope you're right. I'd like to see it.
Yeah. We'll see. But that's my team. So who's your team?
I'm going to go out west, and I'm going to look at the St. Louis Rams, even though they just lost Sam Bradford for the year with an ACL injury.
For good.
Yeah, probably for good. I think that I don't think it's the quarterback that wins the games here for the Rams. I think it's their defense. And I think they're going to have a much improved defense this year. Their offensive line is solid, so you're going to have this guy, Sean Hill, who's an experienced NFL quarterback coming behind. And I think that he'll be better than most people expect. And I think Zach Stacy on the ground is a great running back who's going to be able to average in 4.5 yards a carry this year, too. They're in a tough division. And because they're in a tough division, I'm going to say St. Louis surprises with 9 wins this year.
That's a gutsy call. There you have it, folks. We'll be starting next week with our normal weekly pick'em, and we'll be right there. There's a new panel that we're following this year. The CBS panel has changed quite a bit this year.
Yeah. Danny Marino got a job with the Dolphins.
Marino gone back to the promised land. I'm so excited about that, and best of luck to you, Dan. And hopefully, it's going to make a difference. And I think that I'd like to see you get your ring. Suppose you got to be up in the office. I'd still like to see you get your ring with the Dolphins. Next week, come back and see us. Follow us on Twitter as the I-Formation. You can actually like our Facebook page at facebook.com/the I-Formation. And it's the I-Formation channel on YouTube. So come, share our page. Let us know what you think. Just like every year, this is the 3rd year, building momentum. We'd like to see this page shared all over the world, and we'd like to see people all over the world talking football. So that's it for this week. We'll see you for next week's show for the normal segment. And until that time, it's good night for me.
And it's good night from him. Have fun.